Hey guys, welcome to my YouTube. And my mic's working. That's good. I don't know why it shows my mic having like sound. I don't know. What do you guys think? Should I let this grow out? Oh. So, a message in my morning meditations this morning was I saw the Three of Cups show up. I mean, it was just like popped up in my mind, right? And it's always about um, there's two messages there, and I think that they're both relative. Every time the Three of Cups shows up, it always feels like you're both being supported non-physically, and it's a time to celebrate your successes, right? This is Thanksgiving, so be thankful for where you're at in your journey and celebrate your successes. Don't ever forget to do that. Maintain balance. Balance is something I want to talk about a little bit today. Balance, making sure, because mental health is all about balance. So if it feels like you're being too isolated to take care of yourself, make sure you put yourself out there. Just monitor yourself and see how you're reacting to the people around you. If you're reacting to things that they're saying instead of just, if you can get to a place where you're calmly observing and then think about the things that you've learned about yourself when you're observing where other people are at. For example, I just got out of a meeting and, and this is true with all of us. If we get stuck in group settings for too long, we always view our success as something outside of ourselves, right? We're viewing the world at large in a different light, right? You always want to view yourself as this light that you are putting into other people. And so whenever you see something out there that's wrong, you'll kind of miss the bigger picture. Your higher self is always trying to embody you and help you, bring that light and love to other people. And you can't do that if you're in a place where it feels like, because there's so much stuff that things are breaking down, right? 11:11 on the clock right now. Things are breaking down. It's crazy. Things are breaking down right now, but it's just part of what has to happen on a larger level. If you think about it, everybody's going to be forced into more and more isolation because structures are breaking down, because the energy exchanges aren't natural there. They're not balanced. If you don't have a natural energetic exchange in your environment or the people around you, then that whatever that is going to break down, right? I mean, if I'm pouring myself into you and I'm not getting any return, I pull back, right? It's not. You have to learn to think. Okay, it's all right. That person isn't resonating with me right now. It's fine, and you'll naturally attract people that resonate with you. If you're trying to keep pushing yourself into people that aren't getting a return, there's a reason for that. A lot of times that they're in a state where they need help, right? And so make sure you're putting yourself out there so that you can give help to people at times, but then fall back and then stay balanced and then do your thing that you need to do, right? Because you want to make sure that you're staying balanced in that way. And if we ever get out of balance too much, where we're only putting just a portion of ourselves into the people around us, in our environment, we're taking too much for ourselves, and our mental health really kind of goes with, right? So it doesn't matter where you're at, right? It doesn't matter if you're in business or whatever. And it feels like when you go to business, if you're getting, if too much of you if the energy isn't balanced there, and when you come home and it isn't balanced, then you're always going to be in this unhealthy state, right? So, yeah. Make sure you're staying as balanced as you can. See what parts of the day that you can stay in balance as much as possible. When you're in groups, give your input, but don't try and control what's going on there. And observe the energy and the way it's moving in that environment. Who is putting positive energy and who's feeding? Now, and try not to look negatively in whatever the way that is. And that way you can help people see where they're at and possibly just maybe shed light on something that's happening there, because you can't force anybody to change. You just kind of want to shed light on the situation and be assertive in your power, but at the same time not to try and control what's going on there, right? Very, very difficult skills to master, because what you're trying to do is just become a facilitator for the energy and information to move there, and people grow at their own rate, right? So as long as you can enlighten the situation without trying to control it, that's what creates the best environment for growth. If you never give your input onto the things that you've learned and this balance of energy that you've found within yourself, if you can't share that with your environment, then what was the point of the process you just went through? You want to be able to heal people from the inside out. And once you master your shadow and all of your fears, then you can get out there in groups and help people say, hey, look, you're kind of looking at this from the wrong angle. It's just everything's growing. All you're doing is becoming a better conductor of energy and information, and you're doing it in a balanced way for your environment. Hope that makes sense. So I was just in a meeting, we were talking about leadership, and we found it. I found that they were focusing a little bit too much on, let's say, climate change, right? How do we control climate change? There you go. The issue of control. Don't ever try and control something. The climate will take care of itself. You don't have to worry about that. All we have to do is make people realize that they need to control their own energy so that they're not feeding on each other. And so make sure that creates systems that don't create things that pollute our environment. The poles are changing. Sorry, we're not going to be able to change what's happening. I mean, the Sahara could become a tropical area again. We can't change that. You can't control that. So you have to focus on the things that you can control, which is yourself, and how you're moving your energy whenever you go into the groups and settings of people that you're around. And this is the way that you show that you love them, right? Because you can make them aware of where they're wasting their energy, and at the same time help them stay balanced to create really, really good mental health. What am I going to do? Let's just draw a couple of oracle cards. I'm not going to make this a long reading today. What do you guys need to hear? This is these spiritual messages. I know that this is just the messages I need to give, right? Because it has everything to do. Every level of self-knowledge has to do with how well you can convey that to your environment. Now, and in this way, you really keep your sovereignty, because as soon as you become a better facilitator of energy and information, you really claim your sovereignty of who you are and where you're at, right? You become more clairvoyant. It becomes much easier to see where everybody's at. And, there is going to be in the future, in the very short future, there's going to be everything is mental health. Every single thing that you see in your environment is mental health. And if you have to be able to be assertive in your environment to help that mental health of that group, and by doing the things that I just said here will elevate the mental health of those people. You're just trying to help them understand. It's like, hey, look, don't worry about anything out there. Worry about you, and then you're going to be able to bring things to light. You're bringing the higher self in, the bigger perspective. You're always looking at the bigger perspective on what's happening. And so that helps people. It gives them a place of rest. It's like, oh, okay. So I just need to do a little bit more inner work. We're going through a huge evolutionary event. Once you understand that, shadow self, always dealing with the shadow, right? This is always what we're dealing with. And everybody's shadow is your shadow. Now, this is hard to kind of realize after a while, once you've been in this, but if you're a vessel just accessing a field of intelligence, then light and dark are two parts of the same field that everybody's accessing. Now, are these three-dimensional vessels that we're using as a conductor can only access a portion of the field. The field is infinite in scope. So, there's beings at other energetic levels, other structures that are accessing higher densities of the field, but they still don't have access to the lower field unless it's through you, right? So you're accessing higher density beings that are accessing higher density beings. I mean, it's like, yeah. Now, the higher you elevate your awareness, the more that you're elevating your environment and elevating a higher state of field. If that makes sense. And so the way energetically, you just stop feeding off of each other, because all you're doing is channeling more source energy into your environment. So what do we need here? Look at these. Let's look at the other cards here. I want to use these cards today. How are you guys doing today? Tell me about it in the comments. I got a really good comment in the last video. I appreciate all your comments, likes, shares, subscribes. You know, and this is one of the most difficult things is, you know, when you're providing that loving energy in your environment and people can't understand where you're getting it or how it's coming there. A lot of times it triggers them and you're not getting a return for that. That's okay. Don't worry about it. Love them anyway. They know not what they do, right? The moon, right? So the shadow self and the moon, this is the state a lot of times that you're feeding in your, so a lot of times you don't know where you're going. So be creative in your pursuits. You don't know. Just feel led, right? The Blessed Oak, Tower Moment. I love this card, the way this, but it's a blessed oak. Oak trees conduct the most energy and information of almost all the trees. Those trees are very cool, and that's why the world tree is always kind of pictured of an oak tree. The legends say that the Celtics used to think that the oak tree was more responsible for taking lightning damage than any other tree because it attracted more energy. And so it's a blessed oak, but it's also the tower. So the tower card is like the lightning hitting the oak tree. Things happen really quickly, right? So that's what we're getting ready. I mean, this is the end of the spiritual year 7 in the 11th month. It's 11:20. It's 11:21 on the count on the clock. How do these things happen? I don't know. Page bird. Keep listening, right? Just become a listener. I think this one, it's a messenger and kind of a listener at the same time, right? Little sparrow out in the forest. Balance. So I'm going to end with this because that's what I was told this morning by Spirit to kind of teach you guys. Balance. And if you look at this card, I don't know if you guys can see this card. I really like this card, right? Yeah, it's too shiny in here. Anyway, 14. Balance. It's kind of like, oh gosh, my knee. The two snakes, you're always balanced in what you're putting out there and what you're receiving. At the same time, that balanced relationship between your time spent with other people versus taking time to yourself to reflect, to lift yourself up, take care of yourself. And if you're always in healing mode when you're taking more time with yourself versus other people. And then once you get into a state of balance, once you're healed, now you can take time to put energy into a large group of people or whoever you want, and then taking time to yourself, right? That state of balance. So stay in that state of balance. if you can, right? If you need time to heal, take time for yourself, or even ask for help, right? Because help will come rushing in if you need help, and I'm always here, right? If anybody needs help, I'm always here. So I love you guys. I don't know. Have a happy Thanksgiving. The Three of Cups is all about sharing time together and knowing that you're always supported, and that we're all, what we're seeing on a grand scale is just an evolutionary process. So don't. It doesn't matter where you're at or how you're feeling. Just understand that if you're depressed, then take the time to rest. Try not to eat as much. If it feels like you're really hungry, eat, but don't. Listen to your body. Your body will tell you what to do. And if your body doesn't need to eat as much, it means that you're really starting to move more energy. And fasting, actually intentional fasting, can help you eliminate blockages in the body that will allow you to move more energy. So I recommend doing that, as much as you can. But don't ever try and overdo something and force yourself to just, if it doesn't feel natural, don't do it, right? We're all growing at an elevated rate depending on where we're all at. So love you guys. Take care. Catch you later.